In the middle of a scary scene, a dark-haired boy finds himself in an awful situation. The sharp edge of a blade, held about 10 feet above his head. A boy with a knife in his hand stands next to the tied-up boy, as a crowd of people gathers around, wondering what the Lord has done to deserve such a humiliating punishment. The man standing nearby warns her to be careful what she says, knowing that the Lord is cruel and heartless. He realizes that ordinary people have to keep quiet and stay out of the way now that war is happening all over the continent. A time of battle and struggle had engulfed the land. Once the flames of violence had spread across the entire eastern continent, the brutal fires simply would not die down, claiming the revered noble family of Marba as its latest casualty in this brutal conflict. And so fate took its cruel revenge. The powerful did as they pleased, while the powerless hid to stay alive. Unlike the powerless risked their lives every day. The gates of hell were where the powerless could only wait for the welcome end of their suffering. This was the horrific landscape to which the continent had been reduced. Lord Alan de Silva views the scene with a cunning grin, his eyes gleaming with expectation. He commands the spectacle to start. The crowd murmurs, their voices like a gentle hum of apprehension. When no one moves, Lord Alan's gaze falls upon the young boy with dark hair, who stands frozen, his sword shaking in his hand. Lord Alan asks if the boy didn't hear his instructions to begin. The boy's eyes lock onto Lord Alan's, his face set in a determined look. Lord Alan orders him to cut the rope. With a deep breath, the boy raises his sword and severs the rope. The crowd gasps, their faces pale with shock. The dark-skinned boy stands still. At this moment, he knows his fate is sealed. He is Leon von Marba, the son of the late Rune von Marba, and the guy who served as his father's executioner. Within the castle walls, the nobles gather to discuss who will be the new lord. The nobles note that a leader of a noble house is not only a member of the aristocracy, but also the ruler of the house, and the term itself suggests a position of power and authority. He forms a crucial part of the nation's foundation. However, as a famous writer once said, heavy is the head that wears the crown. They also discuss that the weight of authority should only be given to those who can handle it. Our boy, Leon von Marba, stands before the nobles gathered at the table. A brown-haired noble states that House Sylvester's influence is growing daily, and it's uncertain when they might openly invade Marba's territory. Another noble advises him to strengthen their defenses. A yellow-haired noble urges him to make a decision immediately. A white-haired man notes that it's time for our boy to share his wise thoughts as their lord. Our boy closes his eyes and asks them to remain patient for a bit longer, as he needs more time to think. The nobles press him, pointing out that it's an urgent matter. Our boy acknowledges that regardless of their concerns, the situation spells doom for the once great house of Marba. He then leaves the gathering. As our boy walks away, he reflects on how, after his father's passing, he became the patriarch of House Marba at just 14 years old. He gazes at the walls, remembering that House Marba was once feared as a powerful clan of necromancers. Although that esteemed legacy has long since dissolved into the depths of time, he stands before the portraits of his parents and silently seeks their counsel, pondering what course of action they would have him take. With a somber expression, he acknowledges to himself that his plea will remain unanswered, for the departed offer no wisdom, and his parents' guidance is lost to the afterlife. Nonetheless, he yearns for direction on how to revive the former splendor and prosperity of his lineage. His gaze falls upon a grand portrait of Welland von Marba, the venerable founder of their house and the sole master of the dark arts on the continent in his era. He recalls that it was during Welland's time that their house first ascended to greatness. As the original Marba patriarch forged his reputation on the battlefield, his lineage failed to produce another skilled necromancer, leading their family's fortunes down a path of steady decline. Ultimately, our boy was forced to take his own father's life. As our boy enters the room, he gazes at the books nearby and approaches one, pondering the chronicles of the lineage. Holding the book, he reflects that the founding patriarch, Welland von Marba, was a legendary figure. With a mere gesture, summoning waves of undead in an unyielding march of death. By the time the eastern regions fell under his conquest, barely 2 months had passed. It is said that Welland von Marba forged a pact with the malevolent entity Marba, unlocking one of the continent's greatest mysteries, the secrets of necromancy, revealed through the dreaded tome, the Necronomicon. This ancient text granted him the power to reign supreme over the continent. As he examines the books, his eyes widen as he realizes that he is holding the Necronomicon itself, a priceless family heirloom passed down from their progenitor, and the very text that propelled House Marba to prominence as the sole family of necromancers on the continent. As he flips through the pages, he comes across the words, "Heed me, young patriarch." Upon reading these words, he becomes frozen in place. Beads of sweat form on our boy's face as he thinks about the unexpected message. He wonders if he received a telepathic communication in the patriarch's office, despite the anti-magic field. Our boy asks aloud to whom he is speaking. A voice reassures him not to be afraid, as it poses no threat to him or his kin. Our boy questions how he can trust the voice's words. Suddenly, he finds himself face to face with a lion. The monster's presence is intimidating, and our boy asks about his predecessor, inquiring if the lion is referring to his father, Rune von Marba. The monster confirms that Rune was indeed his name. The monster senses that the thread of mana binding them has been severed and comments that he had worried Rune's kind nature would lead to his downfall as the lord of a dark house. The lion notes that Rune's untimely demise was likely inevitable. The monster asks our boy who dealt the fatal blow to his father. Our boy reveals that he, Leon von Marba, killed his own father. The lion growls, pressing our boy to confirm whether he is indeed the one who took down his oath-bound contractor. Our boy, filled with terror, admits to taking down his own father. The monster lets out a fierce growl, claiming that our boy's perception is clouded and he can't see the truth. Then we see that the lion was able to see our boy's memories. The lion asserts that just because our boy's hands cut the rope doesn't mean he's the one who took down his father, suggesting that there's more to the story than what meets the eye. Our boy insists that this isn't the truth, and he knows it deep within himself. The monster senses an abyssal aura surrounding our boy, a dark energy that seems to be simmering just beneath the surface, waiting to unleash its full potential. The monster is puzzled by the immense darkness and magical power within our boy, saying that it's absurd and almost unbelievable. It looks at our boy with newfound interest, thinking that he might even surpass his ancestors in terms of power and ability. The monster introduces himself as Marba, one of the 72 demons of the underworld, who turned his back on the demonic realm to coexist with humans. He became a lifelong friend and mentor to Wellen von Marba, the founder of House Marba, and is the source of the necromancy that defines the house's dark legacy. Our boy recognizes Marba from stories and legends, knowing that he taught their progenitor the forbidden art of necromancy when House Marba was founded. The monster confirms that he is indeed the same entity, a being of great power and significance. Although he is now bound to the Necronomicon, he was once a formidable demon, feared and respected in his own right. Our boy mentions that their founding patriarch, Marba the Black Lion, often said that necromancy runs deep in their bloodline. He asks the monster how it came to abandon them, leaving their house to struggle with the dark arts. The monster responds by asking what makes our boy think that he abandoned them. Our boy explains that since the time of their founder, Lord Wellen, House Marba has not been able to produce a necromancer of his caliber, someone who can wield the dark arts with mastery and precision. Our boy believes that this is a clear sign that the monster has abandoned them, leaving their house without a true master of the dark arts and causing their powers to dwindle over time. Marba clarifies that the reason why our boy and his kin have been unable to harness the true power of necromancy is because they lack the inner strength and resilience to serve as a worthy vessel for the dark arts. Our boy asks Marba to elaborate on what he means by a worthy vessel. Marba explains that none of them have been able to match the exceptional talent, innate ability, and mastery that Wellen possessed, which is a clear sign of their bloodline's decline and loss of potency. Upon hearing this, our boy starts to ponder and reflect on Marba's words, deciding to accept his explanation as the truth. Marba notes that our boy is quick to acknowledge the reality of his situation, showing a certain level of maturity and acceptance. Our boy responds that it's only natural for the weak to suffer defeat and adversity, citing it as an unchanging law of the universe that governs the fate of those who are not strong enough to survive. Marba inquires if this is how our boy has come to terms with his father's death, and if he has been able to find closure and acceptance. Our boy replies that it doesn't make a significant difference, and that there was nothing remarkable or unusual about his father's passing that would warrant further discussion. He adds that unless he's completely turned his back on their house and its legacy, our boy humbly requests that Marba grant him a favor, to which Marba responds with a raised eyebrow. Marba questions the notion of a favor, suggesting that it's an act of kindness where one party inevitably suffers a loss, and that true intentions are often shrouded in uncertainty. Marba clarifies that when dealing with demons, it's more accurate and prudent to refer to such arrangements as pacts or deals rather than favors. Our boy acknowledges this distinction and proposes a pact in exchange for the power of necromancy. The two lock eyes, and our boy inquires whether it's within Marba's capabilities to grant him such immense power. Marba responds with a hint of arrogance, implying that our boy shouldn't dare question his abilities or the extent of his power. Marba asks our boy if he genuinely believes that his potential is worthy of receiving such power, and if he thinks himself deserving of wielding the dark arts. Our boy confidently affirms that he does, pointing out that his very presence in this conversation with a powerful demon like Marba is a testament to his exceptional abilities and innate potential. Our boy notes that ordinary individuals are often forever changed by merely conversing with a demon, and that the experience can be transformative, if not overwhelming. He implies that he is not ordinary, and that his unique circumstances and abilities make him a suitable candidate for Marba's power. Typically, individuals who attempt to tap into demonic power are drained of their magical energy, succumb to hallucinations, and ultimately meet a tragic demise. However, given that our boy remains standing and composed, it suggests that he possesses a certain level of potential and innate ability that sets him apart from others. Marba is impressed, thinking that the boy is indeed talented and also displays a notable amount of determination and grit. This observation sparks a sense of curiosity and interest within Marba, and he begins to see our boy in a different light. Our boy nods in understanding, acknowledging that any request made to a demon should be considered a pact, a binding agreement with far-reaching consequences. He's well aware of the implications and risks involved, but he's willing to take that chance. Our boy expresses his confidence that he has something valuable to offer in return for Marba's power, something that would make their pact mutually beneficial. Marba agrees, and with a hint of excitement, says that they'll forge a pact, one that will change the course of our boy's life forever. Our boy asks Marba to reveal the price he'll demand in exchange for his power, eager to know what's expected of him. Marba lets out a low, menacing growl, his eyes gleaming with an otherworldly intensity as he responds that he'll take everything our boy has to offer, every facet of his being. Our boy's eyes light up with a mix of excitement and trepidation. Our boy says to Marba that it's a relief to know the terms of their pact, as he would willingly surrender every aspect of his humble existence. In the castle, a gathering of nobles is underway. A white-haired man addresses the others. He reminds them that they're all aware of the current state of affairs, specifically that their patriarch, Lord Leon von Marba, lacks the authority to make crucial decisions that impact the entire house. The white-haired man, who is Lord Leon's uncle and closest kin, asks for their agreement on his proposal to take charge of the house's matters for the foreseeable future. He claims that this is necessary due to Lord Leon's current limitations. He offers the nobles an opportunity to express their opinions regarding his appointment as steward of the house. A brown-haired man speaks up, saying that it would be foolish to disagree, given the alternative is a young, inexperienced child who hasn't even reached adulthood yet. The brown-haired man believes that crucial decisions can't be left in the hands of an unworthy child. He thinks that Lord Leon's uncle, Sir Carkle, is the best fit to take control of the family's affairs, at least for the time being. Another noble intervenes, pointing out that Lord Leon is the direct lineal descendant of the previous patriarch, implying that this lineage might carry some weight in the decision-making process. There is no historical precedent in their family for bypassing direct lineage when appointing the next patriarch. The brown-haired man counters by asking what good is tradition when their entire lineage is at risk of being eradicated. He points out that the armies of the Silister brigands are marching towards them, and in such a desperate situation, concerns about birthright and lineage seem trivial. He admits that he can't fault them for their concerns about proper succession, but he's more concerned about ensuring his own survival. He states that he'll choose to prioritize his own survival over loyalty to the young lord, who seems clueless about the impending danger. Another brown-haired man agrees, speaking passionately about the need to stand united in the face of adversity. This man reminds the others that they owe their positions to the late lord and that they should fight to the end to protect the house. He thinks that even if the current patriarch hasn't gathered his own faction, he'll stand by him and not let his uncle, Sir Karkle, usurp his rightful place as the heir to the house. With a somber expression, he wonders how their lord could have left them vulnerable to these power-hungry nobles. Sir Karkle places his hand on the table, drawing attention to himself, and says that it seems the current patriarch has at least one loyal vassal who will support him. The brown-haired man asks him to speak plainly, and Karkle responds by implying that loyalty is a relative concept, suggesting that their devotion might be tested in the face of adversity. Sir Karkle tells Pullen that he lacks the cunning and foresight to see that the outcome is already predetermined, implying that Pullen is naive to think that the course of events can be altered. He suggests that Pullen would do well to heed his counsel. Karkle places his hand on Pullen's shoulder and asks if Pullen genuinely believes that he gathered everyone there to solicit their opinions. Pullen realizes that everything was orchestrated by Karkle's design and acknowledges that it was all part of Karkle's plan. Karkle cautions Pullen to choose his words carefully, not just for his own sake, but for the sake of their family and legacy. He explains that everyone is gathered there for a single purpose, to make a difficult decision that, although unpleasant, is necessary for the house's survival. Karkle appeals to Pullen's sense of duty and loyalty, asking him not to stand in the way of their survival and to let their collective wisdom guide the decision-making process. Pullen comes to the realization that he was merely a pawn in Karkle's game from the start. Feeling a sense of regret and apology, Pullen mentally apologizes to Lord Rune, wondering how he failed to see the signs, and prays for mercy, acknowledging his failure to protect his lord's legacy and seeking forgiveness for his own shortcomings. Meanwhile, our boy, Leon Vaughn, stands before Marba, who informs him that with the new pact, the scope of his power has been significantly reduced. Marba notes that as his contractor, he used to have a more substantial magical reserve, much like Leon's father, Rune, who was known for his gentle and trusting nature. Our boy recalls the fundamental nature of demonic pacts, where demons draw magical energy from their human contractors to replenish their own reserves. He asks Marba what he expects him to do in this regard, given the changed circumstances. Marba responds that there is little they can do, but they should be extremely frugal with their mana for the time being, as they cannot afford to waste any of it. Marba then alters his appearance, explaining that this form should be less burdensome to sustain and allow him to conserve his energy. Our boy remarks that Marba looks endearingly cute and charming enough to be mistaken for a pet in his current guise. Marba's expression darkens, and he warns our boy not to dare call him adorable again, threatening to leave him with painful reminders of his displeasure, including bite marks and scars that would serve as a lasting testament to his warning. Marba asks Leon if he fully comprehends the situation, and our boy responds firmly that he won't tolerate any misunderstandings or miscommunications. Marba, seeming to accept Leon's determination and resolve, suggests that they proceed with their plans, and he begins to move away from Leon. As Marba walks away, our boy inquires if he's heading somewhere specific. Marba turns the question around and asks Leon if he truly desires to attain strength comparable to his ancestors. Our boy confirms that this is indeed his goal, and Marba proposes that to achieve such power, there may be no better way than to literally follow in his ancestors' footsteps. Our boy acknowledges the logic behind this approach, recognizing that retracing the steps of his powerful ancestor could be the key to unlocking his own potential. Marba informs him that they will embark on a perilous journey to the hidden shrine of their ancestor, a place rumored to hold ancient secrets and untold power. However, Marba warns our boy that the journey is fraught with danger and may prove fatal. Marba asks Leon if he's still willing to accompany him on this treacherous path. Our boy questions why Marba continues to doubt his resolve, wondering if the demon doesn't believe in his determination to succeed. Marba shakes his head, seemingly amused by Leon's boldness, and says he'll lead the way if Leon believes himself capable of following. With that, Marba takes the initiative, leading the way through the unknown terrain. Our boy starts walking behind Marba, and as they arrive at a particular spot, he's surprised to find himself standing at the edge of the mistwoods of House Marba. Marba confirms that this is indeed the same forest, notorious for being an impenetrable maze for those who don't belong to their bloodline. Our boy recalls his father's words, saying that only the rightful patriarch can enter the secret shrine itself, a place where the family's darkest secrets and most powerful magic lie hidden. He then expresses his curiosity about the purpose of this place, wondering why it was meant to grant their predecessors the power of necromancy if none of them succeeded. Marba explains that none of their predecessors were able to pass the trial, implying that they lacked the essential quality required to proceed. Our boy asks what this fundamental requirement is, and Marba responds that only those who possess the purest shade of black, the element of the abyss, can clear a path to the shrine. As they walk, the air grows thick with an otherworldly energy, and Marba elaborates that no one has been able to satisfy this first condition, which is to navigate through the dense fog that surrounds the shrine, and remarks that the challenge ahead is evident. The trees seem to close in around them, and Marba raises his paw, signaling that it's time to begin the trial. With a subtle gesture, he invites our boy to proceed, and they prepare to face the challenges that lie ahead. Marba and our boy stand on the upper level, where Marba addresses our boy as a descendant of his, warning him that from this moment on, he will no longer provide any assistance. Our boy acknowledges that he was aware this would be a test of his abilities, a trial by fire that would push him to his limits. Marba offers one final piece of advice: to follow the instructions of the Necronomicon at all times, as it will guide him toward his reward, the power of necromancy. With a stern expression, Marba emphasizes the importance of adhering to the ancient text, implying that deviation from its teachings would be unwise. With that, our boy steps into the unknown, entering a cave filled with monstrous creatures that watch him with cold calculation. Our boy notices a girl captured by the goblins. Our boy opens the Necronomicon and begins to read the ancient text. The words reveal the secrets of harnessing the divine relic's maximum potential, including the phrase that holds the key to reanimating the dead. However, as he reads on, the text takes a darker turn, instructing him to take the life of a living being to begin his journey. With a deep breath, he grips his sword tightly and prepares to face the creatures. The battle is intense, with our boy fighting valiantly, taking down the monsters one by one. As he fights, his eyes begin to sparkle with determination and power. Then the scene shifts to a memory, where our boy remembers a conversation with his father when he was young. His father asked him what entity the Marba family respected the most. His father said the answer was simple: they revered death itself because they were a clan of the undead. Leon asked his father what this meant and how they showed respect to death. He was curious about the values and traditions of their family. He also mentioned that he thought necromancers had to take lives to gain power as dark mages, wondering if this was a necessary part of their craft. His father replied that just because they were feared didn't mean they had to be heartless. He emphasized the importance of maintaining a sense of compassion and honor. His father then asked him to make a promise, to make the end of his enemies as peaceful as possible, no matter who they were. Our boy asked if this promise applied to all his foes. Then the scene shifts to the present. Our boy moves forward with courage as the monsters surround him. He thinks to himself that he needs to aim precisely at the monsters next to take them down effectively. With a deep breath, he prepares to face the creatures. The most effective way to defeat an enemy is to end their life swiftly and with minimal pain. Marba watches our boy, thinking he lacks experience with a sword, yet his precise strike is impressive. The way our boy moved with determination and focus caught Marba's attention, and he wondered if this young warrior might be more capable than he initially thought. Marba wonders if our boy's accuracy was a fluke or a natural ability. As he observes our boy battling the monsters, Marba believes he'll soon find out the truth. Our boy, on the other hand, believes his success is due to luck rather than skill. He notices the monsters are sly and unpredictable, gripping his sword firmly. The darkness makes it difficult to gauge distances, and he recalls how a torch extinguished when he killed the first goblin. Our boy decides to acclimatize to the darkness while he can. Once ready, our boy charges forward swiftly, slipping behind the goblin. With a precise strike, our boy takes it down. Moments later, another torch is extinguished. Seeing this, the remaining goblins rush forward to attack our boy. However, Leon steps back just in time, and the goblins' swords clash against each other. Spotting an opening, our boy eliminates both goblins with quick, efficient strikes. Leon realizes that his eyes are gradually adjusting to the dark. He should be able to see clearly enough now. Unfortunately, our boy's dagger has started to show signs of wear from the repeated clashes. Leon understands he can't expect much more from a ceremonial blade. At that moment, one of the goblins lunges at our boy, but Leon spots it just in time and hurls the dagger at the attacker. The goblin, however, manages to dodge the throw. Marba watches with interest, eager to see how our boy will fare in this trial. Then our boy lunges forward, dodging the goblin's strike, and rushes to pick up the sword near him. Leon quickly grabs the sword, and with a single strike takes down the last remaining goblin. Finally, he reaches the girl who is bound. She thanks him profusely for saving her life, her voice filled with gratitude. But in a shocking twist, our boy strikes at the girl with his sword, revealing her true monstrous nature. Our boy states that he was reminded of yet another piece of wise counsel from his father. Leon's father had spoken of monsters with the ability to mimic human beings, creatures he had encountered during his travels across the continent. Our boy's father further stated that those who betray the trust of others do not deserve a peaceful demise. With that conviction in mind, our boy takes down the monsters. In the grand halls of the castle, the girls are performing a lively dance, captivating the attention of the aristocrats. Kirchel, seated amidst the revelry, boasts to his two mistresses that his moment of triumph has finally arrived, and it won't be long before the accursed house falls under his control. The girl in the red dress agrees with him, saying that he is absolutely right. The girl in the blue dress flatters Kirchel, stating that his cunning plan to use the Sylvesters to achieve his goals is nothing short of brilliant. The red-dressed girl praises Kirchel, saying that it takes a real man to make a move like cutting a deal with the enemy house to rise to the top, and that he is a true genius. He disparages Leon, saying that it's far better for him to take power than to let Leon lead House Marba to ruin. Kirchel believes that his own leadership would be 100 times more preferable and boasts about his flawless strategy, claiming that no one can deny his victory. Just as Kirchel is about to continue, a brown-haired noble approaches and mentions Leon, saying that he wonders what news there might be of Leon's endeavors, with the noble inquiring about Kirchel's plans for our boy. The noble cautions Kirchel that the people of the East were deeply devoted to our boy's father, which might make it more challenging to eliminate our boy than expected. Kirchel sees no need to overcomplicate matters regarding our boy. Our boy's demise will be justified after the fact, and dead men tell no tales, nor do their sons. The brown-haired noble agrees with Kirchel's assessment and mentions that the last time anyone heard from the dead was centuries ago, when their founding patriarch wielded necromancy. Meanwhile, Count Alan de Sylvester discusses his plans with his subordinates, confirming that their strategy to subjugate House Marba is proceeding smoothly. Kirchel von Marba is essentially a pawn in their employ, and they only need to await official approval for all-out warfare from the imperial household. Count Alan believes that Kirchel and his allies are incorrigible fools for presuming that he would delay the second phase of the war. He never had any intention of waiting, and the war will continue without hesitation. With a confident smile, Count Alan reveals his plan to crush House Marba once and for all, using Kirchel's ambition to further their own interests. Count Alan notes that the situation has unfolded in their favor. The subordinate credits Count Alan's exceptional strategic insight for their success, acknowledging that his leadership has been instrumental in their progress. Count Alan verifies Kirchel's identity and remarks that it's absurd that House Marba's long history will be brought to an end by a short-sighted traitor. He anticipates the upcoming events with pleasure, and he looks forward to the outcome. Count Alan orders his subordinates to expedite the preparations and ensures they understand his instructions. The subordinate confirms their compliance, bowing in respect. Count Alan contemplates the impending demise of House Marba and is eager to witness their downfall. In a separate location, our boy finds himself surrounded by darkness and wonders if he has eliminated the last threat. Flames suddenly erupt, illuminating the space and revealing Marba's presence. Our boy is surprised, and Marba commends him, saying he's incredible and unlike anyone he's encountered. Marba approaches our boy with enthusiasm, his eyes gleaming with excitement. He says that our boy is a unique individual, one he's never met in all his existence. Marba jumps onto our boy's chest. Our boy stumbles and falls to the ground. Marba stands up, towering over him, and says that our boy is showing enough tenacity and resilience to potentially survive in a harsh environment filled with orcs, if he keeps them by his side as allies. Marba places his paws gently on our boy's face. Marba continues, saying that despite the monster's impressive disguise, its human form is almost indistinguishable from the real thing. Yet, our boy is managing to identify and defeat it with remarkable skill, showcasing his keen instincts and sharp reflexes. After hearing Marba's words, our boy gently pushes him away. He expresses his preference to avoid any encounters with orcs if possible. Our boy recalls a previous conversation about monsters and mentions that he has been told they harbor a deep-seated hatred for humans above all else. Marba seems unfazed by our boy's concerns. He asks our boy what leads him to suspect that the last monster is in league with the others. Our boy thinks for a moment before responding that it's when all the other torches go out. One remains lit. Marba nods, indicating that he understands our boy's line of thinking. Our boy continues, explaining that when he first enters the place, he notices the torches burn with a distinct color, a green flame that seems eerie and otherworldly. He recognizes the shade as associated with death and the supernatural, his mind racing with the implications. Our boy recounts his experience, noting that with each monster he defeated, the torches flickered out one by one. He noticed that not all the torches had gone out, despite having taken care of the goblins, and deduced that one monster remained, hidden in the shadows. Marba is impressed by our boy's resourcefulness and calculation, considering his young age. He wouldn't have expected a 14-year-old to piece together so much information under such intense pressure, especially when faced with life-or-death situations. And Marba reflects on the situation, thinking that when one's life is on the line, it's challenging to read the situation and act swiftly without hesitation. Our boy, however, did exactly that, dispatching all enemies single-handedly with remarkable composure and precision. Marba wonders if there's more to our boy than meets the eye, speculating that he might be hiding something extraordinary beyond his impressive mana reserve. Marba's curiosity is piqued, and he can't wait to see what our boy will reveal next, eager to uncover his true potential. Marba says that they've completed the first trial, and it's time to move on to the next. Our boy reads the instructions, which state that he must first take a life, and then raise the fallen. Our boy questions the meaning of raise the fallen, and Marba thinks it must refer to the undead, his mind racing with the possibilities and implications. After hearing the instructions, Marba confirms that our boy's understanding is correct. He instructs our boy to gaze at the goblins he has slain, pointing out that each body has a thread linking it to an unknown location. Marba explains that in the realm of necromancy, this thread is referred to as a death line. Our boy's eyes widen as he grasps the concept, and he remarks that this line seems to transcend the boundaries of death, connecting each soul from this world to the next. Marba nods in agreement, further elaborating that a necromancer's power allows them to separate the lingering souls of the dead from their bodies, reviving their spirits. Marba continues to explain the process, stating that a necromancer infuses new life into the bodies by combining the souls with their own mana. As he finishes speaking, all the monsters rise to their feet, and Marba declares that our boy is now commanding an army of undead. Marba announces that he will demonstrate the process of creating undead minions. A monster approaches our boy, and Marba explains that this process is called branding. He mentions that there are other methods, but branding is the sole technique that works on monsters. Marba offers to teach our boy more about necromancy, but for now, he will focus on the basics. The monster stands before our boy, sword in hand, and our boy says he understands. Marba laughs and invites our boy to try the process himself. Before attempting the process, our boy asks Marba if he can pose a question that has been on his mind. Marba agrees, and our boy inquires about a statement his predecessor once made, that turning a human being into an undead is far more complex than turning a monster. Our boy inquires if Marba believes he has reached a level where he can animate a human as an undead. Marba responds with a hint of intrigue, suggesting that our boy's interest in this dark art might be more than mere curiosity. Marba's smirk deepens as he asks who the unfortunate individual is that our boy wishes to reanimate. Our boy's response sends a chill through the air. Kirchel von Marba, his own uncle. Meanwhile, Kirchel is celebrating in his own manner. Kirchel remarks that the late patriarch was a foolish man. He chuckles, saying that his life has been effortlessly smooth sailing since the old man's passing. He looks at the brown-haired man and asks if he agrees. The man nods in concurrence, saying that now all that remains is to take care of the sole heir. The brown-haired man continues, suggesting that Kirchel must feel a sense of relief wash over him now that the burden has been somewhat lifted. Kirchel's smile widens. Kirchel believes eliminating the boy wouldn't be a difficult task. However, their merriment is short-lived, as the establishment suddenly starts shaking violently. The ground trembles beneath their feet, and Kirchel's expression turns angry as he demands to know what's causing the disturbance. The girl in the blue dress suggests that the building's magical protection should be able to withstand more than just a gentle breeze. Kirchel tells her to be quiet, his patience wearing thin, and asks who is intruding, his voice firm and commanding. He confidently asserts that no one in the Marba territory would dare to threaten his life, his arrogance evident in his words. However, a cold voice responds, questioning the basis of his confidence. Kirchel recognizes our boy and says that it's the young patriarch of the downtrodden house. Our boy's eyes light up with amusement as he notes Kirchel's recognition, his gaze piercing and intense. Kirchel asks our boy why he has arrived uninvited and what business he has with him. But our boy responds by saying that Kirchel's question is rather peculiar, given the circumstances. Does a lord need a reason to visit a subject or vassal? Our boy's question is rhetorical, and he follows up by asking if Kirchel expects him to announce his intentions in advance, out of courtesy. Kirchel's face reddens with anger as he responds, suggesting that any worthy lord wouldn't require such formalities. However, both he and our boy are aware that he's far from worthy, his eyes fixed intently on Kirchel's face. Kirchel asks our boy if the thought of losing his position as patriarch frightens him. With a smirk, he adds that it's already too late for our boy to do anything about it. His father is no longer there to protect him, and Kirchel believes our boy is at his mercy. Our boy responds, saying that he now knows that his own actions are what will keep him safe. Kirchel's subordinates ask our boy what his newfound understanding tells him about coming to confront Kirchel alone. Kirchel comments that it was bold of our boy to seek him out, as if he has multiple lives to spare. Our boy responds, saying that Kirchel's assumption that he came alone is what truly shows boldness. Kirchel asks our boy what he's talking about, but before he can respond, a dark aura surrounds Kirchel. Shocked, Kirchel realizes that this is no ordinary magic. It is the power of the abyss. He knows this sensation well. What Kirchel senses is a darkness far deeper than any mortal should ever know. Then, to his astonishment, Kirchel sees undead orcs rising before him. Seeing Kirchel's shock, our boy calmly states that yes, these orcs are indeed undead. Beads of sweat form on Kirchel's forehead as he struggles to comprehend the situation. He asks how this is possible. He claims that even his late brother couldn't wield such power. Our boy responds with a hint of amusement, saying that it's obvious that House Marba was and is once again a clan of necromancers. Kirchel's face twists in disgust as he orders the guards to eliminate the undead abominations immediately. The guards charge towards the monsters, ready to strike. The battle begins, and the monsters fight back, overpowering the guards. As Kirchel watches the chaos unfold, he becomes frozen in fear and shock. He's paralyzed by the sight of his guards being taken down one by one. The reality of the situation hits him hard, and he's unable to move or speak. Kirchel senses that something is amiss, and the situation is unfolding in an unexpected way. He starts casting a spell, wondering if his eyes are deceiving him and if the boy is indeed commanding the dark art of necromancy. Kirchel creates a magical orb, demanding to know how the boy has managed to mock the founding patriarch's power. Our boy responds by saying that it's not strange for the patriarch of House Marba to have the ability to command the undead. Kirchel finds this notion preposterous, pointing out that necromancy is a long-lost art that even his father couldn't master. He doesn't believe that someone as inexperienced as our boy could wield such power. Kirchel tells our boy that he won't entertain his claims, that he's not buying into the idea that our boy has somehow managed to tap into the dark art of necromancy. But our boy's eyes light up with intensity, and he seems to be fed up with Kirchel's doubts. Our boy says that if Kirchel finds it hard to believe, then he has no choice but to prove it to him. With a serious gaze, Leon warns Kirchel, stating that it wouldn't be a wise decision. Then, our boy commands the orcs to charge toward Kirchel. As the orcs rush forward, he hastily casts a spell to defend himself, but to his shock and dismay, it has no effect on the undead creatures. The realization sends a wave of fear through him, and he begins to question his own abilities and continue advancing. Kirchel is shocked. He calls for reinforcements, only to realize all of his subordinates have already been defeated. Frustrated, Kirchel starts striking the charging orcs with a flurry of magic spells, launching multiple attacks in succession. Yet the orcs remain largely unaffected. Watching this unfold, Kirchel thinks to himself. He hates to admit it, but his mastery over magic is only marginally superior to that of a novice. Kirchel tells our boy that there will be consequences for Leon's betrayal. At that moment, one of the orcs charges forward and comes face to face with Kirchel, striking him with its sword. Kirchel is injured, and as he tries to cast another spell, he finds himself unable to do so. He asks our boy how he could turn against his own family. Kirchel believes that our boy will never be forgiven for his actions, and that his betrayal will have far-reaching consequences. Our boy responds by recalling a historical treatise he read with his father, which spoke of the continent's history and the dynamic between victors and the vanquished. This reflection seems to underscore the power imbalance between them, with our boy emerging as the dominant force. Kirchel asks our boy if he intends to lecture him, but our boy responds that, devoid of emotions as he is, Kirchel has yet to grasp the true meaning of his actions. Our boy mentions that one thing he learned from the book is that forgiveness is a privilege reserved for the victor, a luxury that Kirchel can no longer afford. He tells Kirchel that he, too, was once a victor, but now things have changed. Our boy stands before Kirchel, as he says that Kirchel was a victor when he betrayed his father and forced him to fight for survival, but times have changed. Kirchel's face twists with anger, and he tells our boy to stop talking nonsense. But our boy continues, unfazed. He raises his hand, casting a spell as he addresses Kirchel von Marba. He says that he won't bid Kirchel farewell, instead wishing him suffering every step of the way, a fate that Kirchel richly deserves. Our boy declares that he will cherish this day as the day of Kirchel's defeat, and, as punishment, he will take away Kirchel's ambition to see another day. With a wave of his hand, our boy casts a spell that orders the orcs to attack Kirchel, and we see that takes down Kirchel. The Marba comes in and comments that our boy is truly as deranged as he suspected, but also incredibly powerful. Marba asks our boy how a novice necromancer can wield the art with such skill, as if he's been commanding the undead for years. Our boy's eyes light up with a sinister glow as he says that he's just come up with a rather amusing idea. Marba asks if the idea is amusing or terrifying. Later, at a gathering of nobles, a brown-haired man asks if anyone knows why Kirchel summoned them again. A yellow-haired noble responds, saying that no one knows, and he's as clueless as the others. And he states that they be patient for a while. Another noble expresses concern, pointing out that an urgent council meeting is no trivial matter, and perhaps there are rumors that House Sylvester plans to breach the peace treaty and attack while they're vulnerable. The brown-haired boy dismisses the idea, saying they shouldn't indulge in paranoia. He doubts how Sylvester would be so reckless as to break the agreement between the two great houses, especially since restarting the war would require the king's official approval. The yellow-haired boy advises patience, suggesting they wait for clarification once Kirchel becomes the head of their house. Just then, Our boy enters the council room, and the nobles start whispering among themselves. They seem puzzled, wondering why our boy is there, given that the meeting was supposedly convened by Kirchel. Some speculate about our boy's intentions, questioning whether he means to challenge Kirchel's rightful claim. Our boy takes a seat and addresses the council, asking if they expected to see his uncle instead. He informs them that, unfortunately, his uncle won't be joining them for this meeting, or rather, he's unable to attend. A noble asks for clarification, inquiring what our boy means by unable to attend. Our boy responds bluntly, stating that Kirchel is dead at his hands. He then asks if this answers the noble's question, inviting any other council members to speak up. The room falls silent, shocked by our boy's revelation.